I'm not usually a huge fan of those stories that you find on the internet, those little cutesy stories that sometimes people will send around and they're supposed to be encouraging, and they are, for the most part. I mean, you automatically think, well, did this really happen? You know, but I remember one particular story about this guy who was pretty well-to-do. He had quite a bit of money, apparently, and his son was always asking him for stuff. He always wanted stuff. And the son kept asking when he turned 16 for a car. And he knew his dad would afford it, right? But his dad was always trying to teach him all of these great life lessons and stuff, and told him, read the Bible, son, read the Bible, son. You'll get more treasures from that than you will from stuff that's tangible, stuff that's monetary. And so he kept getting really fed up with the old man, right? I mean, he wanted the goods, forget the words. Right? And so finally, after begging his father and begging his father, the birthday comes, and his dad gives him a Bible. What a jerk. I mean, come on, really? You got the money. Pony up, let's do it. Now, he gives him a Bible. So, throws the Bible over in a corner, leaves it there. 15 years later, Dad's gone. Dad's passed away. He's moving with the family, cleaning stuff up, and finds that old Bible, and just sitting there, reminiscing. He finally opens the Bible to find out that it's fake, and the keys to his new car were hollowed out inside of the Bible. He had it all along, and he got so ticked at his father for being cheap, but he had it there all along. So that story is quite representative of life, I think. Let's stick that back in our minds for a moment. Yesterday. What a day. So my brother and his family visiting for Thanksgiving, and they decided to come in and visit us, and I said, hey, you know what, we'll do the tour. And their 7-year-old son has never been to Chicago. They live out in Omaha, so it's okay, we'll take you downtown. You know, it's hilarious because we're riding on the train, and every building that was taller than 10 stories, is that the Sears building? Is that the Sears building? Is that the Sears building? I'm like, dude, okay, just, here comes Belmont, stay, we're on the train. So here comes Belmont, we're going to look at Wrigley Field, that's where the Cubs play. Oh, is the Sears building over there? Let's forget about the Sears building for a minute. Let's focus. So, finally, we get downtown, and again, is that the Sears building? No, we're not going to the Sears building. We're going to the Hancock building. So, we go to the Hancock building, and after we eat lunch, we're going to take them for a Chicago-style pizza, right? So we go to, what is it, Giordano's, is that what it's called? And wait 50 hours and, put on our name and all that stuff. So we go and get coffee while we're waiting and whatnot. And an hour and 15 minutes later, when we finally eat, we go to the Hancock building, and my thing is, I'm cheap. I don't like paying for an observatory. It's just, there's something that just rubs the wrong way. So, boys, if you ever ask me for a car, expect to get a Bible, but when you open it, it's going to have pages. Just letting you know. So, we get to finally to the point where we're going to go up to the signature room. This is what I do. We go to signature lounge, right? Drink a martini, even if it costs you $16. Everybody else gets a free view. And I get anyway. So, it works out. But, of course, we waited so long for the food, we get there and the line is winding around for both the signature lounge and the signature room. It's like, oh, forget this. So I do a U-turn, and she's like, his wife is like, well, let's go down to the observatory. I'm like, okay, that was good money. So we go down to the observatory, and we're getting up to the front, and Hunter's the 7-year-old guy, he's all excited. This is the best day ever. This is like the most awesomest, coolest, funnest day I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Thanks, Uncle Brandon. You're welcome, Hunter. Glad I could do it for you. We're about 5 people from the cashier, and we just want to let everybody know there's a 45-minute wait, and the clubs are coming in, so most likely visibility is going to be at 0 within about 10 minutes. It's up to you if you want to go up. Bye. Okay. So, we leave. And we walk down and leave here. Okay, fine. We're going to go on the Ferris wheel. $7, I can afford that. And we'll get a view, right? So we get down there, and there's people getting on, and there's no line at the ticket booth. This is perfect. So I go up there, we're up, 2 tickets for the Ferris wheel, please. And she's like, actually, points to the sign over here that says the Ferris wheel is closed now due to high winds. Oh, wind in Chicago. Silly me. Are you serious? Okay. So, of course, he had been working his way up to the Ferris wheel, saying this is, again, the coolest, funnest, most wonderfulest, whatever, put in superlative EST at the end of any word that shouldn't have one, and that's what he said. But then, as we turn around to go home, and his mom says, can we just go back to the building, because if he rides the elevator, he'll be happy, even if it's falling. No, we're going home now. I gotta write a sermon still. But as he's saying all this stuff, right? Yes, I'm set up, but I'm thinking about expectation, right? He had all these expectations. And ultimately, after all of this cool, fun, amazing stuff, he says, this was a complete and utter disaster. And he breaks out in tears. I'm like, oh my God. And he says, I'm going to pray that the wind stops. We're starting to walk back home, right? He's like, no, don't go. I'm going to pray that the wind stops. God's got this. We're going on the Ferris wheel. And I'm like, okay. I said to his dad, he said, hey, if he does this, he's preaching for me tomorrow. I got nothing on that. He prays. Nothing happens. And of course, he's brokenhearted. Right? He said, why doesn't God listen to me? Why doesn't God answer prayer like he did back in the old days? I think he said way back then or something like that. Way back in the time when Isaiah, or whomever wrote this passage, was writing something like this. Shaking their fists to heaven, why the heck don't you come down and do something? You're all powerful, you're all strength, you're all knowing, you're all everything, then why the heck don't you come down and make this lousy, nasty, messed up world a better place? Why don't you do something? Same thing Hunter was saying. You got the power to do it, why the heck can't you just do me a solid and knock the wind out for 15 minutes? Isaiah's saying the same thing, right? You've got all that power, but where the heck have you been? Yeah, you did the whole Red Sea thing for Moses. That was cool, but you know what? You kind of AWOL for a while. Pardon me, don't get mad, oh God. Kind of looks like that if you read the words. Don't get mad at me, God. I mean, don't get my blood or anything. Don't get mad at me. Hey, you made promises to me. You can't hurt me. But I just want to say, you're kind of rubbing me the wrong way here. Christmas, Advent, they'll both do that to you if you're not careful. Advent is a time of expectation. Advent is a time of hope. Advent is a time of getting all excited and getting ready for Christmas because somehow something's going to be different. Right? We do that at New Year, right? We have all these resolutions and we convince ourselves that things will be different. Well, today is the start of the church year. Today is New Year in church talk. Okay? And so we get all excited. And then Christmas will come. And guess what? He thinks he's the Grinch. It's all going to be the same. Nothing's going to be different. You're going to get all excited for nothing because guess what? Nothing's going to change. Ha-ha. Joke's on you. Okay, no. But that's how it is. Unless we change our mindset about the whole thing. Right? You remember being a kid at Christmas and you get so excited and not just that you're going to see family, but you're going to get presents and then you get this weird crocheted sweater made out of cat hair and one arm is longer than the other. And what the heck is this thing? Okay? Maybe I'm serious, maybe I'm not. Some people probably did get something like that from Aunt Martha or whoever. But that's what it's like, isn't it? That's what life is like, because we have so many expectations, we have so many hopes, we have so many things that we think are going to be coming our way because somebody is going to do something for us. And in this case, God is going to do something for us. God's going to make it all better. We just have to wait until it happens. Well, guess what? It's been over 2,000 years since Jesus spoke these words. 2,000 years. Long time. But let's look at the beginning part. If you look in your bulletins, I'm not sure how it's printed out, but if you look at the beginning part, but in those days after that suffering, you notice how that print is thinner? I don't know if it's like that. Yeah, it is. See how it's written more like a verse from a poem? And then the rest, it's wider. The margins are wider because it's more like prose. Well, guess what? That's what it is. Jesus was quoting an ancient hymn. Those weren't his words. And everybody he was talking to knew that he was quoting something. He was talking about the verses before when he had said that the temple was going to be destroyed and not one stone would be left standing. Okay? And he was talking about all this doom and destruction. Jesus was telling those people that things are bad. And guess what? They're going to get worse. They're going to get worse. And you guys see it as somebody's coming from the four winds to come and save your rear ends and do everything for you. Okay, fine. If you see it that way, well, when it happens, learn the lessons from the fig tree, right? When things start to change, it means the seasons are changing. So read the tea leaves, read the wind, be aware, be ready, stay awake. Things are going to change, but guess what? You are the catalyst. You have to affect that change. Nobody is going to do it for you. Now, perhaps in a way we can say that God does do it for us. Certainly, God gives us the power. God gives us the strength. God gives us the tools to do things, but ultimately, it rests upon us to do the work. That is the real beauty of Advent. See, we could think of it as like, wait a minute, what's beautiful about that? You're telling me I have to do all this work that I was hoping somebody else would do for me. No, the beauty of Advent is our individual transformation. It's not that the world is going to be transformed for us and automatically become a better place. No, it's that each of us is going to be transformed into something better so that the world becomes a better place. So that our perception of the world becomes a better perception. And things don't seem so bad after all. Right? If we change our outlook, if we change the way we look at things, things don't look so bad. But yes, there will still be things that are very disconcerting, things that are very disturbing. But you know what? Change the people, change the world. If people act differently, the result is different. So let's think for a minute here about your biggest concern. Okay? Let's think for a minute about that. What's your biggest concern? Is it something personal? Is it world hunger? Is it world peace? Is it what? Let's take a second to think about that. In regards to that, what expectations do we create that make us suffer? What expectations do we create in our mind that lead to disappointment? What do we fail to do to alleviate that suffering? What do we fail to do? Finally, how can we be more aware of what is versus what we expect or want? How can we be more aware of the way things really are versus the way we wish it would be? I want this Advent to be meaningful for us. I want it to be something different. I don't want it to be the same old cycle that repeats itself every year, and then we come to Christmas and, oh, that was nice, but everything's the same. Happy New Year, let's hit reset and do it all over again. This year, this Advent, I want us to go through steps of personal transformation, ways that will enrich our lives and make us see the world, see ourselves in a better light. We feel more equipped to deal with whatever it is that we're struggling with. So this first part is awareness. And every week we're going to do a different type of transformation, a different aspect of life that we're going to look at. See, when Hunter was asking all those big questions, his parents were looking at me. Pastor, say something. Give him some answers. You know what I said to him? Nothing. Didn't say a word. In my head, I said, thanks for the sermon, Hunter. What is there to say? See, the events were exactly the same. We walked to Navy Pier, we walked to the Hancock Building. All the events were exactly the same. The only difference was his words. This is the bestest, coolest, this day ever. And this is a complete and utter disaster. It was the same day, same events, completely different perspectives. Jesus tells us, yes, things are unfortunately bad. Things will sometimes unfortunately get worse. But we hold the keys to make it different. To make it different in reality, and to make it different in perception. But if we're not awake, we're not aware, we're going to miss that aha moment when we can feel peace and say, you know what? It's not so bad after all. You please stand if you're able and sing with us, O come,